The halftime Naptime Sports Minute brings to you the 2023 NBA trade deadline. It was hot, it was amazing, it was fun to watch. Woj dropping more bombs and shams. This was a great day to be a basketball fan, and we're going to recap it by showing you the top 5 winners and losers. Let's go. All right, let's kick it off with the negatives of today. We have our honorable mention, the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls did absolutely nothing in the trade deadline. They are in what I like to call NBA purgatory, where basically you have no room to go up, no room to go down. You're just right in the middle. You're not even in the lottery, basically. Almost. They might end up in the lottery. They're definitely going to end up maybe in the playing game. I see them going absolutely nowhere with their current roster the way it's constructed. I thought they were going to move Zach LaVine or even DeMar DeRozan, and possibly maybe blow it up this season, thanks to that Lonzo Ball injury. That was just huge. That really derailed everything that they were trying to do this season. So our honorable mention is the Chicago Bulls. At number 5, we have the Portland Trailblazers. They lost Josh Hart to the Knicks. He would have probably left in free agency this offseason. He was owed $13 million this season. He probably would have asked for at least $25-30 million next season. So that was kind of inevitable. Losing Gary Payton, that also just wasn't really fitting very well. Gary Payton started the season injured. Was just coming back. The Warriors just really wanted him back just to get that championship nucleus going again. I really think that Anthony Simons, Damian Lillard, just doesn't fit. It just reminds me of CJ McCollum 2.0, which is a younger version. It's just not the way to win a championship. They're lacking defense in that second guard position, and they thought Gary Payton was going to fill that role, but it just didn't really work out. So they should have packaged that to maybe pick up OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors, but they decided to go for mediocrity and kind of ruin Dame's career. And that's a shame because Dame is one of the best players in the NBA. So look for him to maybe throw out a trade request in the offseason, but he's too much of a stand-up guy to do that. He'll probably get his PR team to do it for him. Number 4 on our losers list is definitely the Miami Heat. The Heat had a chance to make some type of move. I mean, they had to do something with Kyle Lowry's contract. They definitely didn't do it. All they got rid of was Dwayne Dedman for an unprotected 2028 second-round pick. So they're going to be major players in the buyout market. But who are you going to get? Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook. There'll be some other older vets that are going to get bought out, but that's another older vet. I mean, they should have made some other moves to their nucleus, unless they're just banging on what they have right now. And what they have right now is not good enough to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, not good enough to beat the 76ers, it's not good enough to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we'll see what happens with the Miami Heat. But Jimmy Buckets does come up clutch in the playoffs, but I just really don't see them making it past the second round with the way their roster is currently constructed. Number 3 is the Johns. First, we're going to talk about John Wall, former Clipper, gets traded hilariously back to the team that sat him out for a year, which is the Houston Rockets. And then the Houston Rockets will definitely buy him out, which that can be a potential Heat. But still, John Wall had so many chances with the good Clippers team to make himself a presence in that lineup, but failed to beat out Reggie Jackson, and then just became more of a guy that was going to get cut if he wasn't part of that Eric Gordon trade. So John Wall, you're definitely number 3. Good luck to you in the buyout market. Hope a team utilizes what you still have left, and then also too, hope he humbles himself and he's able to fit into a role on his next team. John Collins. John Collins is a guy who's just hilariously been dangled out for the past 3 years, has not been able to find any kind of trade partner. The Atlanta Hawks is another team that didn't really do too much in the trade deadline, but I was thinking that he was going to be moved by somebody. I mean, packaging a deal with Toronto, either with Washington, moved for some role players, something. But disappointingly, John Collins, you are in the trade purgatory where you are just dangled out there and nobody wants you. You're that dude on Tinder that doesn't get any swipes. But yeah, number 3 is the Johns. Number 2, we're gonna stay on teams that didn't really do anything besides get Jakob Pertl, a backup center, who's gonna be probably overpaid this next offseason. Is the Toronto Raptors. OG Anunoby. Everybody's talking about it. New York Knicks looking at him. Portland Trailblazers looking at him. There was multiple other suitors that were looking at him. It was either they were asking too much for him or he was too overvalued, because I really think OG Anunoby is not really a 20-point scorer. He's more of a 19-18 scorer. And he's going to be a third cog in whatever team that he is going to be on. He's like a poor man's RJ Barrett, and that's saying something, as RJ Barrett is like the third wheel on his team. So I really don't know where that value was coming from OG. I think he's a really great defender, and he'll be a good piece on a team, maybe a third or fourth option, but that's it at most. So I see why a lot of teams didn't move on him. Fred VanVleet was the one I thought was going to move, though. I really thought like the Clippers were going to go and try to package a bunch of their role players and just try to move them there, but they don't have enough draft compensation. I know that would have been a problem. And I thought Fred VanVleet was definitely going to move Miami Heat. I thought they were going to try to test their might again with another point guard from the Toronto Raptors, but that didn't happen. Pascal Siakam, I would have kept him for sure, but Gary Trent Jr., I would have definitely parted ways with him. The Toronto Raptors are going to be in the 9th, 10th, definitely hovering around the play-in in the East. And it's a shame because I liked their way their team building was. I mean, positionless basketball, going modern day, it just is not working. And then the offseason, they have a lot of issues to address. So my number 2, the Toronto Raptors. And the number 1 loser today at the NBA trade deadline definitely had to be the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets had 3 Hall of Fame players at one point. They trade Ben Simmons with James Harden, and Ben Simmons comes, and Ben Simmons has the worst contracts. His points per game are cut in half. His production has been awful. He fouls almost more than he scores points per game, but that's a joke. But he's close to it. The guy is just a horrible presence on a team, and you just look at the guy, and he's more in the tabloids for who he's dating and who he's taking rings back from, which is a shame. I see why Kyrie and Kevin Durant wanted to leave this franchise. They didn't do them any service, and I get Kevin Durant wanted the influence of the team, but when you have 3 Hall of Famers who only play a total of 9 games, this is the biggest disappointment in NBA history when it comes to teams. I will put them up in the categories of the Lakers team. I know it was the old school Karl Malone when he was really old, and I know it was Gary Payton. If they had injuries, they probably would have won that 4th championship in a row for the Lakers. But that was kind of a disappointing team. The first Miami Heat team that lost the Dallas Mavericks, that was a very disappointing team. But yeah, they're the most disappointing team ever in NBA history, and shame on Marks, the GM. Shame on Joe's side, the owner of the New Jersey Brooklyn Nets, New Jersey Nets. That's what they are. The New Jersey Nets have had better teams than them with Keith Van Horn and Vince Carter. And Richard Jefferson. This is just a travesty of basketball, and yeah, they flamed out. It was really, really bad. Now we will transition over to our winners of the NBA trade deadline, and we'll start with the honorable mention, The Timberwolves. Timberwolves did a really good job of addition by subtraction, getting rid of D'Angelo Russell and bringing in Mike Conley, who works really, really well with Rudy Gobert. And look for him to help that position take a step back and give Edwards more of the ball, more ISO situations, and then also too Conley will end up feeding the post more. And then when Towns comes back, look for this team to actually make a push. I see them definitely in the play-in again. I see them as the seventh seed in the West. They're going to be looking a lot better than they do right now, especially with Conley's leadership. So good for them. Number five, the winners of the NBA trade deadline. My Los Angeles Clippers. I'm fired up, man. So the only thing is though, RIP, my guy Reggie Jackson. Absolutely gonna miss him, man. He was a hooper. Guy was a hooper baller. I'm definitely gonna miss him and his carries. That guy palms the ball every single time, but at the same time, he's great. We're gonna miss Luke Kennard. Shooter, I wish he was on the court more. Often injured, but did a really good job when he was playing. And then John Wall too. I wish he would have fed in. I know we talked about him earlier in one of the segments, but to get Eric Gordon, a veteran's vet, shooter, he'll come in and play some good defense. He'll guard some more wings and guards. And then Bones Highland, the young boy from Denver. I saw him live when I used to live up in Denver. And man, I'm excited for Bones because not only that, like I think him and Terrence Mann are going to be like the best little 1-2 punch, especially like when you're playing in second units. I'm gonna absolutely love that unit. And Mason Plumlee, we finally got a backup center after losing Harkenstein to New York because Harkenstein just got paid. I mean, he deserved it. Harkenstein was a beast. And yeah, my Clippers. Hopefully, we can finish in the fourth seed and get a home field advantage. But it all depends on Paul George. It all depends on Kawhi Leonard. Play some games, get some more continuity with the team, and then Ty Lue's got to stick with some lineups. And it's been so hard. He's been playing some of these different junk lineups. So let's hope these three guys come in here, show some consistency with the same lineups, and maybe we can make a little run out of it. But we're going to talk about those other winners. We got to pass. Number four is the Milwaukee Bucks, picking up Jay Crowder. Huge pickup. I know they lost three guys: Jordan Nora, George Hill, and Serge Ibaka. Traded them to the Indiana Pacers. But at the same time, they're going to get a guy who's going to be a 3-and-D wing and a really good asset to their team, especially once Bobby Portis comes back for them. Look out for the Milwaukee Bucks to make a run at the best record at the Celtics because they're going to be 1-2. This Milwaukee Bucks team has a really good chance of going back to the finals if health permits. Middleton is back. I know as they're taping this, they have won 8 straight, and they are going to continue to keep winning, especially when they start going down the stretch. And they're going to demolish a lot of the teams in the East. I mean, I don't see another team in these. If they're in a series of 76ers, I don't trust James Harden enough. He's going to get locked up, and he doesn't really do anything in the playoffs either. So I trust them way more than the 76ers, and I trust them way more than the Cleveland Cavaliers. So look out for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's a huge pickup with Jay Crowder. Number three, the Los Angeles Lakers. They did a really good job of just turning their whole team around. They flipped Westbrook, Thomas Bryant, who's calling for the ball on LeBron's final point. That was hilarious. And also wanted more playing time, insane playing time, as you know once Anthony Davis came back and he was asking for too much and was like, "You, who are you? You know, like what are you? What have you? You're playing well, but you can't come in and you got to earn that playing time, especially when you know all NBAer just came back." But they lost Russell Westbrook, Damian Jones, Juan Toscano Anderson, and that top 4 protected 27 coveted first round pick that they've been holding on to for a long time in these deals. But they brought back a completely whole bottom half of their roster that's going to really help them out with their depth and also shooting. D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. And then they got Devon Reed, and they also got rid of Patrick Beverly, and they got Mo Bamba. So they just basically, they lose five guys, replace them with another different five guys, and these five guys can actually shoot, space the floor. And I'm interested to see what Mo Bamba does, as that backup center role, because he's actually playing for his NBA life. He's gonna. He did a pretty horrible job down there in Orlando. He definitely got his spot took. So let's see what he does with the coaching staff over there in LA. I'm interested to see these Lakers, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them. But this is their time to make a run. They are in win now mode, and the way the West is currently constructed, they needed a deeper roster, and they got it. And Westbrook played really well for them off the bench. They're gonna miss that bench scoring and that bench activity, but at the same time, they got floor spacing, and maybe the little things are a little easier for Anthony Davis and LeBron James and Dennis Schroeder. When he's cutting. So, good pickup for the Los Angeles Lakers. Number two, the Dallas Mavericks. Picking up Kyrie Irving was huge. Finally, Luka has a running mate, a Robin to his Batman, somebody who can actually do the same thing that he does, create an isolation, be a second primary ball handler, and somebody that he can give it up to, that can trust and give him a basket. Now, the reason why I started laughing is you can't really trust Kyrie Irving. Who knows what theatrics he's gonna pull? I hope that he just is on his P's and Q's, and he was kind of like the first season at Boston when he came in and just wanted to play. He took his team to the Eastern Conference Championship, and he was the guy on that Boston Celtics team because they had a really young Jason Tatum, a really young Jaylen Brown, and Gordon Hayward wasn't too healthy that season. So I want that Kyrie Irving, that accountable, great teammate, great with the press, no issues. That's the Kyrie Irving that needs to show up to Dallas. If that happens, Dallas is going to go far, and Dallas can go to a NBA championship. I'm still kind of leaning on my surprise team, the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are going to be into the Western Conference Final this year if Zion comes back healthy and a healthy Ingram. I think that team is deep enough. But this year, the Dallas Mavericks, goodness gracious, they are real if Kyrie Irving can keep his head on straight. And number one, the absolute number one winner. This was easy. Everybody knew it. Probably you can shut down this podcast right now. This video is KD. KD to the Suns is crazy. That lineup they're gonna have is amazing. Everybody's talking about, they don't have any depth. No, they don't have depth. They are gonna be very weak when it comes to their bench, but they can stagger their lineups to the point where it's like you have two guys on the floor that can score at any time, whether it be Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and then you have other guys supplementing in, or you'll have KD, Booker, or you can swap that around and go KD, Chris. There's endless possibilities, and then you have those four guys finishing it. Ultimate floor spacers. You have three assassins that can definitely score in the clutch at the end of the games, and then don't count out DeAndre Ayton too. That guy's is a beast, and he gets underlooked. And the only reason why he scores 16, if he was on any other team, I think he would put up more than 20 points a game. Say, for instance, if he was on the Orlando Magic, or if he was on, the Atlanta Hawks. If he was on a team like that, then he would be scoring 20 points. So I really like the Suns. I think this is going to be a really, really great mix, and we'll see how they fare once they go up against a team like the Warriors. They might see them in the first round, or they might see the Clippers in the first round. They might see it's the Western Conference playoffs this year is going to be the most show-stopping thing, especially from first round all the way up to the Western Conference Championship. I hate the first round of the playoffs. I think it's the boring round because you can always predict who's going to win. The 4 or 5 matchups are usually the best matchups because you get the best teams playing, two close similar teams playing against each other. But for the most part, I definitely believe this year is going to be, even the play-in is going to be amazing. Because don't count the Kings, too. The Kings still play well. Even though they don't play any defense, they'll still run up 120, 130 points on you. It's the best offense in the league right now. So the Suns, Definitely. Number one, KD's out of the Nets hell, and he can actually focus on playing some good basketball and not have to deal with, theatrics from Kyrie or Ben Simmons this. He's free, and now he has to deal with Chris Paul barking at him all the time. So you got one headache to another. But yeah, the Suns are going to be real, and I have a feeling they're going to go very, very deep in the playoffs if they can all stay healthy. So it's going to be fun to watch. And that's it for our NBA 2023 trade deadline recap. It's been an amazing, long day. I had my Twitter going. Twitter is undefeated. Woj was dropping bombs left and right. There was other little deals that were minor that I chose not to go over just because they were just little deals. But for the most part, this teams were wheeling and dealing, and you can tell like there's a lot of parity going on in the NBA. This is the season where coming into the season you had 7, 8 legit teams having chances to win a championship, and right now I really believe that it's up in the air right now. It's extremely hard to call, and this trade deadline made it much, much more interesting because I didn't have Dallas in that mix. Now you can throw them in that mix. I wrote off the Suns because all the Robert Sarver stuff. Now, like, the Suns are like the real deal. And I'll never count the Bucks. I think the Bucks are always going to be championship pedigree. But yeah, man, let's go Clippers. Let's see. I'm not the most enthusiastic about them because I'm Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They gotta show me something. But right now, I think it's either between the Nuggets, because the Nuggets have a really good team, and it's up to I think Michael Porter is gonna make that extension. It's ascension to that leap, that next step. And Jamal Murray, I think when he's coming off injury, he's looking better and better each month. So of course you can't count the 2-time MVP, should be 3-time MVP Jokic, but don't count out those Pelicans. Though I'm telling you, those Pelicans are gonna be a real deal. You heard it here first. And that concludes everything about this trade deadline. I hope you guys had fun watching, the winners and losers with me. So the halftime, Naptime, sports minute. Holler at us, Modern Fathers. Make sure you stay tuned for our next episode coming up. We put out episodes every week, me and Benji. So stay tuned for that, and have a great rest of the day. Have a wonderful Super Bowl weekend.